Tash Dile and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama re-emphasizes on practice of compassion for purposeful education. Sikyong and Education Kalon interacts with new batch of Class 10 students. Election Commission announces date for voters registration for 2021 Tibetan General Election. MLA Vishal Nehria visits Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile. Secretary Choeying is CTA's new official spokesperson. India-Tibet Coordination Office plans to strengthen Tibet Support Group movement in India. Tibetans and Hong Kongers protest during the secretive visit of Chinese Foreign Minister to Rome. Tibet civil societies recommend Switzerland to rethink One China policy and the Belt and Road Initiative. Speaking to the members of Mind Mingle this Tuesday, His Holiness the Dalai Lama re-emphasized on the importance of practicing the principles of compassion along with imparting modern education among the younger generation.
Modern education, very much sort of oriented about material value. So now, in order to be happy person, see, that person need 1,000-year-old India's tradition, ahimsa, karuna.
Mind Mingle is an initiative to promote experiential learning and purposeful education with a view to achieving a child's all-inclusive development. It is also in touch with social, emotional and ethical learning India, the K-12 education program developed at Emory University with His Holiness's support and encouragement. After the success of the initiative for the Class 12 students, CTA President Dr. Lobsang Singye spoke about extending the Sikyong scholarship to Class 10 students as well. Dr. Singye and Education Kalon Dr. Pema Yangchen had a live interaction with 47 students of Class 10 from 27 schools and discussed future academic prospects on Thursday last week. These students will be appearing for the CBSE board exams next year. Education Kalon Dr. Pema Yangchen emphasized the importance of short-term and long-term goals and to always reflect on how one's education might help strengthen the community. CTA's Education Department has held a series of virtual interactions with graduating Class 12 students and the new batch, virtual interaction for high schoolers with the Chief Counselor and separately a parents' interaction with the Chief Counselor presided by the Education Kalon. Voters' registration for 2021 general elections of Sikyong and members of the 17th Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile, in addition to the Tibetan electoral rules and regulations, will begin on September 1st, 2020. The voters' registration will conclude by 15th October 2020. At a press conference held earlier this month, the Election Commission has officially announced the commencement of the electoral process of the 2021 general elections of Sikyong and members of the 17th Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile. The regional election commissions, the registration officers and the general voters are hereby requested to follow the voters' registration process as per the election rules and regulations and the guidelines provided. Shri Vishal Nehria, member of Legislative Assembly from Dharamshala, Himachal, Vidhan Sabha, visited Tibetan Parliament-in-Exile on Friday last week. Speaker Pema Chungne explained the Standing Committee's meetings and its responsibilities and urged the MLA to revive the State Legislators Support Group for Tibet. MLA Vishal Nehria, who has been well aware of the Tibetan cause while working at Bharat Tibet Sahayog Manch, India, promised his firm support for Tibet's issue and the Tibetans. He also appreciated the Charter of Tibetans in Exile and expressed his willingness to learn more about the Charter from the Tibetan Parliament members. Mr. Karma Choeying, Secretary of the Department of Information and International Relations, has been appointed as the official spokesperson of Central Tibetan Administration, according to a circular issued by the Kasha Secretariat. Mr. Choeying has served the Central Tibetan Administration for over 24 years in various capacities such as General Secretary, Bureau of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, New Delhi, Secretary at the Office of Tibet, Brussels, and also as a welfare officer in Kalimpong and Darjeeling. India-Tibet Coordination Office, Core Group for Tibetan Cause, chalks out future action plans to strengthen Tibet Support Group in India on Friday last week. The core group members have explained on programs which they have carried out so far and explained on the future programs upon Tibet cause. ITCO coordinator Mr. Jigme Tultrim called upon a meeting of the members of core group for Tibetan cause on 4 important matters.
This webinar is being organized in the follow-up of the 2 events. One, that is the internal discussion of all the TSTs that was held on 8 August 2020, and the second of the 60th anniversary of All India Tibet Convention that was held on 26 December 2019, during which the relation between India and China, especially with India and Tibet, was discussed, given the conditions and the situation that has happened during the last couple of months, especially at the Kalon Valley. Finding this, all the respected members have come to the conclusion to confer His Holiness the Dalai Lama the highest civilian award of the Government of India, Bharat Ratna, and second, to make it possible for His Holiness to address the Indian Parliament, and then to initiate an aggressive program to be launched and campaigned throughout India against Chinese communist regime.
Tibetans and Hong Kongers assembled in Rome in Farnesina Square before the Italian Foreign Minister's office to protest against the egregious human rights violations in Tibet and the imposition of national security law in Hong Kong during the visit of the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who was received by his Italian counterpart Luigi Di Maio, Foreign Minister of Italy, on Tuesday this week. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi is on 5-country Europe visit to rebuild China's shattered image, especially after the COVID-19 fiasco. Wang Yi will be visiting Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, France and Germany from 25th August to 1st September 2020. The Vice President of Tibetan Community in Switzerland and Liechtenstein, Phuntsog Chokchampa, and the President of Swiss Tibetan Friendship Society, Thomas Buckley, participated in the local civil societies meeting called by the Switzerland's Federal Department of Foreign Affairs on August 14, 2020, to discuss Switzerland's China Strategy 2021 to 2024. The participating civil societies were invited to contribute to the development of the strategy. Phuntsog Chokchampa and Thomas Buckley used the platform to present the Swiss FDFA representative, Ambassador Raphael Nigeli, with a 30-page report titled China's Violations of Universal Values, Lessons for the Future. The report details the egregious human rights violations being carried out in Tibet under the illegal occupation by China, the difference of normative values between Switzerland and China, and the Sino-Swiss bilateral and multilateral relations over issues of human rights.
A few days before our meeting, the Swiss Foreign Minister Ignazio Cassis has announced a more multilateral approach towards China by the Swiss government. So it would be interesting to know whether and with what priorities the bilateral dialogue with China will be continued. How would the Foreign Department ensure that more tangible results are achieved in the bilateral dialogue?
So much for today. See you next time and have a great weekend.